All right, so ultimately you'll want to assess the accuracy of your map using a statistically robust sampling and assessment strategy, which we cover in a later module. But as you're building a classified image, you want to endeavor to create the best possible map you can, of course. And often a visual inspection can reveal the problems in a map and even hint at possible outcomes. This does, of course, assume that you have some knowledge of the area of interest and that you can interpret satellite imagery. So here we'll evaluate the output from our first classified map built just using the simple classification and regression tree. And in this example, I've copied and pasted the code through section 3.6 from the master script into my own training script, run it, and then I'll evaluate it to see what kinds of problems I can find. So the first thing that's obvious here is that there are big gaps. These are gaps with no classification results. And when I look at the image and the classified image, sort of flicker between them, you can see that it's because there are no data points in the original image. These are caused by clouds. So we'll have to fix that somehow. Some areas look okay. So for example, if I look at the orange areas classified as urban, I compare those to the imagery, they are sort of bright magenta. And in fact, if I further look at the original image, we can see areas that correspond to cities. So for example, if we look at Medellin in the sort of upper left of the image here, we look at the Landsat image, it's sort of magenta colored classification. It shows up appropriately. However, if we go to other parts of the country, we can see large areas that are classified as urban that probably are not urban. So up here, right near the coast, there's some high elevation areas. There are also some areas on the peninsula that we can understand from the perspective of the imagery that these look somewhat like the magenta of the urban areas, not exactly the same, but they look close enough that it's understandable why the classifier might be confused. Right? But we can see that there's a lot of urban area to be classified there. Similarly, we can look sort of in the eastern part of the country. And if we zoom in a little bit, we can see large areas that have relatively sparse vegetation. So they're looking sort of in this 5-4-3 composite, they're looking fairly pink and magenta. And those are also getting classified as urban. But there's no cities here, right? In fact, there's very little developed area at all, and yet both the image and the classified image suggest that there is some urban area there. So these are another sort of area that we need to fix.